Welcome back to another edition of Mind Lab's Treasure Talk blog. I'm your host, Brandon Neese, and today we were talking about one of my favorite things to find, gold jewelry. And specifically gold jewelry at parks and at beaches. Now I love hunting parks and beaches because they're what I call a renewable resource. People are always coming to these places and losing stuff. It's not like an 1800s ghost town or like, a medieval site in England where these old coins and relics, once those are gone, they're gone. People aren't coming back from the 1800s and from medieval times to lose more stuff. But beaches and parks, on the other hand, people are always coming to those places and losing gold jewelry. So I'm going to show you a few tips that will hopefully help you get some gold under your coil. Let's start with parks. Parks are great, but let's face it, they're pretty trashy. They are full of this kind of stuff. Can you see that? You got can slaw, that's my favorite. That's when the lawnmower guy is too lazy to get off the lawnmower and pick up a can and he just runs it over. You got pull tabs or beaver tails, ring pulls, whatever you want to call those. Those are definitely pull tabs. Kind of a newer, modern take on the ring pull. People pull those off. I don't know why they pull them off. They're meant to stay on. You don't have to pull these off, people. There should be punishment for that. Modern day clad. We don't want to find any of that garbage. So what do we need? We need a metal detector with good discrimination. Something like the Mind Lab, let's say CTX 3030, or maybe like the 705. Whatever you're swinging, you got to have good discrimination unless you want to find all this garbage. Then you don't have to have discrimination at all. I use the CTX 3030, so I'm going to show you my park hunting program on the CTX 3030. Everything that you see in blue is stuff that I've discriminated. I don't want to hear any targets that fall within that region on my screen. It's a really narrow window of white right here. That's my accepted targets. And I've got a little blue block in the middle of it, and what that does is it helps me not hear these. We want to block these out. We want to block pennies out. We want to block all this stuff out because only thing that we want to hear is gold. That's the only thing that we want to hear. Gold, unfortunately, sounds a lot like these low conductive, trashy items that are everywhere in parks and beaches. But here's a way to manage your time. Take the sensitivity on your machine and turn it all the way down. I've got mine set to 1, the lowest setting possible. I'm looking for fresh drops. I'm not gonna dig targets because digging wastes a lot of time, especially when you've got a park full of pull tabs and tinfoil and other garbage. You don't want to waste time. You're looking for fresh drops. So turn your sensitivity all the way down and listen. When you're right on top of a target, the next thing you gotta do, pull out your trusty pinpointer. This will save you so much time, you guys. If you don't have a pinpointer already, it's one of the best tools you can possibly have for this hobby. Fire the thing up and you're looking for that fresh drop. If we hear it with this pinpointer, chances are that it's gonna be a surface find. How much is it worth?
A lot. I don't even know. I think we bought it for 2,000. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you don't hear a target within 5 seconds of your search, that means it's deeper. We're not going to dig it. We're just going to walk away because we don't want to dig. Digging takes time. Switching gears, let's talk a little bit about hunting for jewelry on beaches. Gold is super heavy. Beaches are sandy. Those gold rings like to sink super fast. So you need to hunt in ideal conditions. And what you're looking for is low tide conditions, maybe something after a storm came through and waves kind of churned the ocean floor around a little bit and exposed some stuff that had been sunken for a long time. So those are the conditions that we're looking for. And we're looking for high water cut marks too. When the high tide comes in and it eats away at the beach line, it exposes new stuff that's been buried for a long time. It cuts away it erodes the sand. And those are great areas to hit. They call it the cut. So what kind of tools do you need to hunt beaches? It's almost exactly opposite of hunting for jewelry in a trashy park. For beaches, you're going to want a giant coil. The bigger the better, because bigger coils tend to go deeper. And gold sinks really fast in sand, so you need a coil that's going to get you deep. Something like the 14x9 Coil Tech is the one that I use for my beach hunting. Any other big coil will do, though. Sensitivity. You're going to want to crank the sensitivity on your metal detector almost all the way up and get it really chattery, and then back it off just a couple notches until it calms down, because you're trying to maximize depth. For beaches, I don't use discrimination at all. I want to hear everything, because when we start using discrimination, sometimes we can... No discrimination. I'm going by ears only. I'm digging everything that makes a little tiny little blip, something that might be what I call a fringe target, something really deep. Having a waterproof machine certainly increases your odds of finding gold jewelry. Here's why. When people go out swimming in the water, generally it's because they want to get cool. The water is cooler than the ambient air temperature outside. So when they go in the water, our body's natural response is to shrink, to vasoconstrict. It shunts blood to our inner core to keep our vital organs warm. And in that process, it shrinks our fingers. And that's how people lose rings at the beaches. So if you've got a metal detector that's waterproof, focus on areas of knee-high water to chest-deep water. And that's because 99% of the crowd hangs out right in that region. That's where your ring finds are going to come from. And if you find yourself digging tons of these guys that aren't very deep, hang it up. Try somewhere else. Go have a beer. Do something, because the conditions are not right. These things are super light. Now, conversely, if you're finding things like these, fishing weights, okay? If you're finding stuff like that, keep hunting, because gold is going to be hanging out close by, I promise. If you plan on doing any amount of beach hunting, do yourself a solid, invest in one of these long-handled sand scoops to retrieve your targets. It's much faster and much more efficient than trying to get down and dig with your hands or put a spade in the sand. That doesn't work. So get one of these sand scoops. It'll save you so much time. Thanks for watching another episode of Minelab's Treasure Talk blog. Check out my book if you get a chance, The Metal Detecting Bible. Stay tuned next month. I think we're going to talk about prospecting next month. Yeah. See you guys.